Check this out, Amazon tool rental. That's 2 different screws. Come on, China. How is it still squeaking? That's why it won't work. And then cut this right here and make a relief cut, bend it, and then weld it back in so there's clearance. I'm just going to chop that off, chopping both those off, and we're just going to start from scratch. What do you think? Think they needed to be replaced? What's weird is they gave us 2 castle nuts and 2 nylon lockers and 4 cotter pins. At least 3. Check this out, Amazon tool rental. So we got us a spring compressor that looks like it's going to work. Looks like somebody who's already rented it. But that fits in there to where I just do this by hand. Look at that. But we got to do that quite a bit more. I don't know if I need to get this second one on here or not. There's 2 of them. This looks like it's slipping out. Looks like it's denting that a little bit. So yeah, we'll tinker around with that and make that work. And whenever I can do it and make it look good, I'll record it and show you. Well, these appear to not want to work. Basically, it seems like it's going to work. When you put them in there, you kind of twist it like that, and it's at like an angle, and that seems all good and fine. But then whenever you start tightening it, it straightens out. And since these aren't curved, what happens is, I don't know if you can see that, the actual reservoir part then of course causes tension, pushes out on the finger to where only the very tip of this is hanging on by a thread, and it's grinding into the shock, and it's trying to push it off and get sketchy. And that was with, I only had it down about that far. So, I mean, I had it down probably 1/3 of what I needed to. So it was only going to get way more sketchy. So this might be an abandoned project. I recommended to not do that anyway, just because this isn't even a lift kit. All it's doing is making the spring under higher tension to where it's just going to ride rougher. But yeah, ideally what you'd need is you'd need a tool that's like a hydraulic jack, and it's like a cup that would like go on this part down here and support it, and then like something come in here like this and then pull down on it, but also have a strap around it at the same time for safety. And I can't replicate all that with what I got. So pretty sure that's abandoned. You don't see anything more about that, then yeah, it got scrapped. We got U-joints, brake stuff, so we're gonna go do some brakes. So here we got our front one with some Michael Jackson gloves. Tee! And let's just see. That's a pretty good replica, isn't it? That's a pretty good replica. So then we're gonna bench bleed this. This one already looks like somebody hit it with a screwdriver. That one seemed like it was bent. That's 2 different screws. Come on, China. Okay. I think that's good enough to put on there. Oh, look at that. Made in USA. I wonder what that means. I've never seen that before. Let's see if we got any oh, yep, there we go. I was gonna say, let's see if we got any bubbles. Perfect. How does this brand new one squeak? Is this just a design that they have to squeak? Does everything have to make noise on this lever area? God. How is it still squeaking? Okay, what I'm gonna do is let this sit here, and then periodically I'm gonna do this as I'm gonna pull that wheel off, and we're gonna do that caliper, pull that rear master cylinder, flush that line, and then once in a while when I stand up, I'm gonna come over here and do this. And what that's doing is, I assume there's air from here to here, and the liquid's slowly, you know, pushing the air up here, but it's not purging until you do this to open that valve up. So this needs to be done periodically. Yeah, so the new one don't even have that at all. Like, that's not even the same. It's not even close to looking the same. I don't think it's gonna matter. Who knows where this is gonna go? We'll figure that out. Oh wait, is this a problem? Yeah, well that's a problem. Aha. This piece right here, I bet, threads onto the bottom of that. It's like an extender. Okay, so maybe that is right. I guess what we can do is go ahead and slap this bad boy on there. Notice the gap here. The gap there. The bolt sticking out, about ready to touch the rotor. Everything's smaller in China. Alright, we're going to put a little bit in here and then try to bench bleed this just a little bit. You gotta make a smiley face with sad eyes. Okay. Alright, it's coming out. Clean that off so we don't have to put our gloves on just yet. Okay, so I kind of sized all this up. It came with these brackets, and it said this bracket should go here like that. It's got these threaded inserts and a welded nut here, but they serve no purpose from what I can tell. Yeah, see, I told you guys all you had to do was just read the instructions. That's all you had to do, was just look at the picture and just do it like the picture said. I don't know why you guys are trying to argue. Remove the battery, hold down bracket, move battery as far to the left as possible using a 6mm drill bit. Carefully drill the bracket mounting hole. From inside the battery box, insert 6x10, 6mm by 1 machine screw through bracket mounting hole, then secure bracket to the battery box with 6mm flange nut. That's a garbage picture. So, lower right rear corner of the battery box. Okay, we're not going to mount that yet because we want access to put fluid in it without doing, you know, hose and all that nonsense. So let's get we're gonna try to confirm if this pressure switch works real quick. Okay, let's do this and see if it beeps. So that's about 100 psi. I don't know how much hydraulic pressure would be in that. I can't confirm if this works, and it probably doesn't work, the fact that it was all filled with rust. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of this, and we're just gonna use the new stuff. All right, so the old master cylinder, the hole was facing the opposite way, which means that this doesn't want to line up right. So I'm running it through here. I'm pretty sure this bent end was supposed to be back here, but the flat end won't work because of all of the cross bracing of the frame right here. It just won't work. So we're gonna do it like this. If it'll even thread, because it's doesn't look like it's wanting to even line up. That's off just a little bit. We're gonna have to modify that. Yep, it's off in two ways. It's off center, and it's too much material. Oh, freaking China. Are you kidding me? We gotta take this off. Here's why it won't work. There's too much meat where my pointer finger is. So that's basically, it's just offset. So we're gonna grind out. We're gonna put this little plug in it right here. Then we're gonna take the Dremel and use like a burr bit, and we're just gonna extend this curve out. That's what we need to do, because this is rounded, and so it's hitting, you know, on the most round part, and that flat spot doesn't help because we can't put it at that angle anyway. Alright, there's what got taken off. Actually quite a bit. But you can see now that we're squared up. It might be a little far this way, but that's okay, because we can just recenter it. Oh, come on. Why does it always have to be a struggle? Okay, so that's good. And then this is going to come around. And that actually, that's not going to be in too big of a bind. Perfect. Man. Man. When everything goes wrong, something's got to go right once in a while. And we can even put this little dry rotted grommet back in there, the spot where it's meant to go. Look at that. Look at that, right where it's meant to go. In the trash can, or next to it. Goofball, that grommet is meant to allow it to spin. Like, I mean, that's tight. It's tight for sure. So we're going to take and put a zip tie. Zip tie it right there to try to keep it square. Someone out there get triggered if I didn't show me doing this. There you go. That's for you. Alright, now we got this bleeder cracked, so I don't know if I explained this when I first like torned all this, but this caliper is independent to that foot pedal. This caliper is tied in up here to this distribution block that goes to the single lever. So whenever you squeeze this lever, it goes to 2 fronts and 1 rear. So I got that cracked right now, and just kind of gravity bleeding it. Still lots of bubbles coming out of here. Okay, so that's a problem. So that bleeder is clogged. I found a piece of welding wire. Should be right here. Oh heavens. Oh my goodness, where's my welding wire? Been making a mess and not cleaning it up. I didn't know I had a sewing needle in there. It's not always a good thing to have, just, you know, in a random place that you shove your finger down in to grab tools. Oh boy, we got some pressure. Oh wow, we got some brakes working, barely. Let's just see if it keeps pulling brown into there. Alright, let me go put that in the proper recycle facility. Alright, we're going to do some welding. We're going to grind this flush. And I have this piece from that air box. I'm just going to cut this off. It's already got a hole drilled in it. Weld that piece on there for the other bracket. I went ahead and drilled this one out and tapped it. But it's cracked too along here. It needs welded as well. And I was sitting here and I noticed something. So that frame has been broken right here, bent backwards, and instead of them bending it back forward to weld it, they just welded it in place. And it's literally touching the shock. So it's bent a little bit on this side, but it's not touching the shock. So that's going to be a pain in the ass because there's so much stuff in the way. What I need to do is probably take this bolt out, take the other bolt out, fold this whole thing forward. It should pivot. And then I probably need to pull this radiator out of here because my welder's a flux core and it splatters a lot. Pull this radiator out of here and then cut this right here and make a relief cut, bend it, and then weld it back in so there's clearance. So I guess I'm gonna do that and get all this stuff welded up. I had to pull the shock off to get a hammer behind it. Looks like it's gonna work. What I lack as a welder, I make up for as a grinder, and I'm not doing any grinding. Alright, there's one problem fixed. Here's the new problem. I tacked that on there just a little bit. I need to figure out where all this is going to line up. By the way, this whole thing's snapped off on the rack. It's supposed to have a tab on the rack. Line up with the tab on the bumper. But get this. So this is basically where it wants to be. That's how off the hole is. I don't think this is supposed to be here. I think I found it on the ground and just shoved that there. So the easiest way to fix that is going to be bend this tab this way, bend the tab on this one this way, and then just put a slant on it to where it scoots back. Okay, we got bolts in here to keep that aligned, to see where this is going to be at. Here's the new problem, is with this kind of an angle, this bolt, the head of it hits. So we're just going to chop that off, chopping both those off, and we're just going to start from scratch. So with that rack mounted and like it cinched down at the frame, the gap that we need to fill is a 2-inch gap. So I've cut these at 1 3/4, and then what I need to do is stagger them a little bit like this and overlap them. So they need to be about like that, overlapped, right? And this is kind of like our margin for error. And then drill a hole in the middle, and we're just going to run an M6 bolt through it. It doesn't need that I don't know what was in there, but it doesn't need that. That tab was flimsy anyway. You can see we're using steel. It's like twice as thick. It's not as wide, but it's twice as thick. So it doesn't matter that it had that bend on it to act like a gusset. This thing was getting all mangled up anyway, just trying to tap on it with a hammer. So, and it ends up pulling out the rack anyway. So this will be just fine, as long as you're not hooking winches to the rack like a nincompoop. So here's what the rack bolted on. This is kind of where it wants to be. You can push or pull it and bend it a little bit, but stick that in there, weld it like that. What I lack as a grinder, I make up for as a painter. So I was looking at this thing and noticed that something just didn't seem right. This shock. It's literally like touching back here. Then if you look, so I can get back further, it's like curved. And so what's happening is it's actually hitting up here. So if I jack this up, look at that, you can see it's like, jack it up a little more. I actually got it to slip out of this cup a second ago. Yeah, see, look, it's not even in the cup. And it's never going to be in the cup because it keeps hitting the frame there. So I pulled this, and if we look, it looks like the eyelet is taller, like the center of the eyelet. If we line them up like that, like this thing's way up there. But if we line up where, if that bolt were to go through all the way through the center, you can see it's lower. And yeah, they're the right ones because these are longer in the back. So So that is something that's going to need to address. I'm going to have to talk to the owner about that. I pulled this ground cable off and I had to pull this power cable off because whenever I put this on, I'd actually got them packed up under there, and you can't just slip them through here because there's like no room. So I had to unbolt them, but this is what I found. Oh yeah, got you the money shot. So I guess we're gonna need to crimp a new end on there, huh? We'll see if that interferes with anything. I mean, I can always run it right underneath that. Good. I don't know if I showed this good or not in that last clip. So this is why something needs to be done, which I already decided what we're doing. Whenever this gets lifted up to line up, you see that cup right there, it starts torquing that shock because it's bottoming out right here. So basically where it's orange, we're chopping that off the frame. Then when we get done, it's going to look like this. Basically chop that out. Had to chop the weld out, at least on this front side. But let's lift that up with my foot. There we go. Oh, that's as good of an angle you're going to get. Yeah, so no more clearance issues. It's tight, but tight's better than two pieces of metal clashing into each other. Because I got the exhaust mostly on, and we need to weld this bracket up right here, and it does not want to line up perfect. That's where it wants to be. Don't know why, so that's where we're going to weld it. Beautiful. Let's test this thermostat. Alright, it is open. And then we have this temp sensor. We're going to verify it's good. Clamp one side, basically ground, one side on the terminal. I don't know if that's supposed to fully close the circuit and make continuity. The resistance is definitely going up. Yeah, I don't think it's supposed to close the circuit. Or it would have closed by now. Putting this new switch on here and the new choke lever, or cable I mean. Check out this cool design. You gotta take the hand grip off. Mind you, OEM hand grips, probably from 1979. Literally like plastic. Look at that. So that grip basically crumbled, but look at this. Oh, I'm not going to be able to get you a very good angle. There's like a rivet. There's literally a rivet in this handlebar. I don't know what that's about. I hadn't even planned on recording this, but I went to clean this up because it just looked like crap. And then I started cleaning out this hole, blew some air in there, sprayed it out with brake cleaner, blew some air in there, and then it like popped off and a whole bunch of water dumped out of this thing. And so I pull all this apart to clean it, find out that this was missing. It's threaded, and that's supposed to be like a set screw. That's not threaded, and the hole's smaller. So that's supposed to be like a set screw to keep this piece from just spinning out of control under some kind of like bind, I guess, and smoking that O-ring and then letting water get in the engine. So we're going to have to make a custom bolt. This is going to be the candidate. This is what the pieces look like. There's a washer that goes on this end that goes down into there. And then we got like a little baby washer shim on this and a washer shim on that. And I guess I'll show you the bolt when I get done. That'll work. This air box, the original, was cracked, so I didn't take too many precautions cutting the seized bolts out. But apparently the air boxes are just a crappy design, and they're prone to breaking. So this is the new one. The new air box. It's broken there. Broken here. It's got a seized bolt in it. This is the bracket for like the frame that's broken off. So we need to carefully get that off of there. And then we're going to get a plastic welder, plastic like a hot stapler. We're going to patch this up, clean it up a little bit. So, because yeah, she's nasty. She's nasty. Oh, look at that. Everything reminds me of her. Alright, I'm getting this air box like to the point where I can clean it. And then of course I was looking up in her dangle and I saw like looked like a tampon or something. And they've like got, I don't know what they've done. They like shoved napkins down in there and then put tape on here, and this one's nasty. It's where it's been melted and it won't come off your fingers, and now it's stuck there forever. That's the emergency toilet paper when you're out on the trail and you don't want anyone to know your secret hiding spot. Yeah, that's definitely enough for an emergency wipe in the woods. This is the factory seam, by the way. Just take a moment to look how terrible that is. This one looks like it was grinded down. We're going to grind this one down a little bit. The manual says to not grease these. So, we're going to put them in dry. It makes sense that they'd be dry because it doesn't have the little, oh, there's like a cover that goes on this style when they're meant to be greased. And usually there's a groove cut in this for an O-ring, and it's meant to like catch the grease, keep it from flinging everywhere. So what I did grease is I got a little bit of grease inside of here to where this can like stay lubricated and twisted. A little bit of grease inside of there, and then grease on the inside of that. Just, you can see that very minor amount. When that gets spinning fast enough, it'll fling out and go where it needs to go. All right, so we're gonna put this on. And then our new belt. It's a little crusty in there. All right, so the service manual says 75 to 85 foot-pounds with red Loctite on these. We can go ahead and get the secondary on. Then we need to get the belt on. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Is that the right belt? I don't think that's the right belt. That is a big, big difference. New belt seems to be the right diameter. It is probably that much thicker than the original. I don't know how wore out that one was. Some hand grips, the U-joint, I don't know if it works yet, an oil filter, a spark plug, CR6E, fuel petcock, and it came with some fuel line. How about that? Neat. Filter with it, and gas gauge, proper gas gauge. I don't know if I showed the other one, but we had one that had been sitting over there for a month. It was actually wrong. Air filter. So all this is going on, and then I think we're going to be able to start it. Okay, right away I can see that the U-joint's not going to work again. We look basically right here where the clips go in. There's a glare on there. You can see it's got the wide clip again. It needs to have the baby clip, like the little baby notch. Sorry, I gotta find gotta get my other phone charged to get the close-ups. But yeah, like you can see, like this uses a itty bitty little slim clip, and we found a listing where there was a measurement from like the outside of this lip to the outside of, you know, basically this measurement right here, and it was 42.6, 43.6, and then these are like 44. So this is the second one that we got that doesn't work. Well, it doesn't help that it says it's a 191001, and that says 19-2004 U-joint repair kit. Articat, no specific models on there. But yeah, I can tell that's not going to work. I didn't even open it yet. Getting good at doubting, I guess. That's what I'm getting good at. I really, really wanted to get that U-joint on there while I had, you know, more room. You know, I keep putting stuff on and it comes out further and further and further. You got tubes in the way. You know, eventually the ductwork's going to go there. Oil filter. But, you know, whatever. It is what it is. Here is... Try to get these lined up. Hopefully I'm get you a good angle. But yeah, we're an 1/8 inch at least wider. And hopefully it doesn't matter. This is smelling pretty rotten. Whew, it stinks real bad. Well, here is what we got going on. Basically, all of these U-joints don't work. So, all of them have a wide groove with a wide clip. This one's too small. That one just doesn't work. But we got 3 that don't work because it's not the right fitment. So we tried and tried and tried. There was one on eBay that was listed with, you know, a shipping charge. So they were like a smaller seller. They actually had this dimension of 42.6 or whatever from that edge to this edge, which is what we need. These are like 44 or something from that edge to that edge. And it's gone now, and we can't find it anywhere. So whenever you pull the diagram for this, this is what it says it is, and it's not. And I highly doubt somebody did some kind of propeller shaft modification, because this one is for the engine, and then the differential has one right at the front coupler of the differential. I cleaned it off and measured it, and it's the same as like what this should be. So I highly doubt somebody did some kind of swapperoo or whatever, and it's got some oddball part on there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the grinder and we're just gonna grind off like a millimeter here and a millimeter here, here and here, to where this will work. Because that's, I mean, we're tired of messing with it. So that's the route we're gonna go. We're just gonna grind on it until it fits, basically. All it needs to do is keep these caps in place and not allow them to walk around out in and out or anything. So shouldn't be too difficult. It doesn't even have to be perfectly flush either. I mean, it's a hardened steel clip to where all it's doing is, you know, keeping this in place. Alright, I got the mask on because it's going to be nasty. We're going to try to knock all this stuff off. I'm going to try to do it without taking this apart. I do have a tool to take the secondary apart, but I don't want to use it if I don't have to. It looks like the majority of the stuff is on this edge right here. And then we'll just spray that off. This has a wear groove in it, but that's a wear groove for like wide open, not idle, so it won't do weird things at idle. And then maybe lose like 5 mile an hour wide open, which is whatever. So we're gonna clean that one off too. Same for this one. Look like crusty butt. So we're gonna use this thing to get in between here and get this clean, and then we'll probably grab like the orbital sander with like an old piece of sandpaper that doesn't have any grit on it anymore, and just zip it on that. now that I got this clean, I can actually see a lot of this damage from whatever happened. Like, that looks like a bolt that got jammed in somewhere. We got our fins here broken off, chunks missing. Chunk, 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 chunk. Looks like a bolt got jammed in there. Whole chunk missing. Big dent. You can see spots where the roller weights were stuck. One right there. This variator, whatever it's called, I don't think that's factory. Look how rough that is. It's like that on every side. Strange. This damage right here. And then I mixed these up already. I was just checking to see, to make sure like these were actually free floating, and there's some of them that are not free floating like that. So I don't know what's up with that. I don't know how many are going to do that. I'm going to take and grab the caliper, and then I'm going to measure them, and then I'm going to go in here. We're going to clean the insides out and get all that crap out of there. And then we're going to take these on the belt sander, and we're going to take off like a millimeter, like, you know, half a mil on each side. Just kiss it, and then kiss it, and then we'll weigh them and get them all within 0.1 gram of each other, and double check and make sure they all fit in here good. What might have happened was when this thing got jammed up, it could have like twisted this and squished these ears together, and that's why some of these want to get lodged in here. Because whenever I was cleaning this, there was two of them that I couldn't get out with the toothbrush. I was trying to use a toothbrush as like a pry bar, and I couldn't get them out, and I just hosed it down, let it sit there for a second, and grabbed something else and cleaned it, and then I was able to work them free. So we need to get that addressed. That way that's not a problem whenever we put it together. All right, so we're at 18.2 to 18.3 on all of them. So there is a variance. And then we are... Does that even show up on here? 25.3-ish on all of them. Anywhere from 25.2 to 25.4 on all of them. So let's thin them out a little bit, and then we'll worry about getting them the right weight. We're going to clean the inside first. That makes more sense. This is what I'm using to clean these up a little bit, and then kind of touch up these little flat spots and grooves. Just something I made for something else. It's a piece of hardwood, and then stick this on here, and then tap it on to where it's on there good. Wobbles like crazy, so that's why you stick this on here like that. Just two like squish foam sand pads. Cleans it up pretty good. And then if I find a spot that I don't like, I'll just work that spot. All right, seems pretty good. Repeat times 7. I think that's full choke. Okay. All right, this is for real this time. You ready?